With a 2,000-year history as a maritime gateway to Vietnam, this 2,200 square kilometer Van Don Special Economic Zone is one of the largest in the world and certainly one of the most aspirational. 30 islands of Van Don are slated for tourism development, plus one large island for mixed-use development. The master plan for 45,000 hectares of developable land and a 2050 population of 1 million people was recently completed with a focus on investability. This 15-minute thought leadership webinar will be presented by Diane Legge, Vice President for CallisonRTKL, and she will review the key components of the Van Don SAEZ, the challenges of implementation, and the opportunities for investment. Over to you, Diane.
And good afternoon, everyone. First, I'd like to say that this conceptual master plan was completed in 2018 over a short 4-month period by Arcadis Environmental, CallisonRTKL Planning, VIUP Infrastructure, and PwC Economics. The master planning was undertaken on behalf of the Quang Ninh Province and CASA, the administrative entity for the Van Don SAEZ. Their vision for Van Don is to be a gateway to Vietnam, connecting to the world with people, commerce, and ideas, protecting the natural environment, cultural resources, and local traditions, and celebrating its uniqueness, vitality, and aspirations as an iconic destination. The challenge is to realize this vision in a place where virtually nothing at all exists. However, the Van Don Special Economic Zone is strategically located on an axis of development from Nha Ninh to Hanoi and Hanoi to Quang Ninh Province. Vietnam, and specifically North Vietnam, are experiencing unprecedented industry growth, of which Van Don will be both beneficiary and catalyst. The challenge will be connecting the Van Don SAEZ to the rest of the world. Van Don is projected to have 3 key industries: tourism, high-tech R&D, and creative services. The target industries were identified by PwC as being the best fit for Van Don, given its location, regional markets, and global trends. Tourism already exists in the nearby Ha Long Bay, so Van Don will be an extension of that industry. But attracting high-tech businesses and knowledge workers will be a differentiator. Excuse me. The Van Don SAEZ is projected to yield $25.7 billion of GDP contribution in 2050, with a population of 500,000 and new development providing 300,000 high-quality jobs, primarily in the services sector, but also in high-tech manufacturing and high-value agriculture and aquaculture production. In order to achieve this growth, an estimated investment of $122 billion is needed. The challenge will be to attract foreign direct investment in addition to national commitments. The competitive advantages of Van Don over other SAEZs in Vietnam and elsewhere are a strategic land and sea location, unique natural resources, a growing population, and strong government support. Even so, the challenges to the Van Don vision are great, with a very high set of aspirations, even though these are backed up with solid projections. The need for infrastructure and connectivity, a growing but untrained population transitioning from agriculture to other industries, and preserving and conserving the natural resources that will make people want to come to Van Don. The population projections were hotly debated during the planning process, starting first with the government's request for a population of 5 million people, later downgraded to 2 million people, and ultimately, following the planning team's recommendation, lowered to 500,000 people by 2050, but with the ability to grow to 1 million in the far future. The Vendôme functional framework includes 5 corridors of development: an advanced manufacturing zone, a high-tech logistics community, mixed-use urban, financial, and tourism zone on Kaibao Island, the largest of all the islands, nature and eco-living zone on the inner islands of the Van Hai archipelago, and premier resorts on the outer islands. The 2050 Vendôme Development Plan is clustered in 2 key regions: Kaibao Island, the largest and most intensely developed, with 410,000 residents, and the lightly developed 30-island Van Hai archipelago with 114,000 residents. The Design 2 population for Vendôme is projected to be 800,000 people, however, including visitors and commuting workers. Land uses are intermixed to provide a high quality of life for citizens and visitors, including hospitality and entertainment, residential choices, culture and sports, education, and healthcare facilities. Mainland land reserves are to the west of Kaibao Island and will be developed over time. The remaining land shown on the screen in dark green will never be developed. That includes most of the 500 islands not included in the development plan. The Vendôme Transportation Plan will have 3 interconnected networks of air, land, and water transport to move people, goods, and services to and from and within the SEZ. This will include air and seaplanes, high-speed rail connecting to Hanoi and China, light rail, bus rapid transit, cruise ships, cargo ships, yachts, and ferries, in addition to, of course, walking and cycling. The phasing of Vendôme will begin with the development of the North Shore, the urban and island resorts, and completion of the airport. Thereafter, the aircity free trade zone with logistics and advanced manufacturing, and the premier resorts on the larger archipelago islands will be completed. In the future, the remaining smaller islands of the archipelago and mainland expansion to the west will occur. Ultimately, 536 million square meters of space will have been developed. The biggest challenge will be to provide the infrastructure as needed to accommodate the development demand. An early emphasis will be on developing Kairong Town, the concentration of Vendôme's development on Kaibao Island, with mixed-use districts and parks, interconnected with a waterfront culture coastline and an excellent view of the iconic karst stone islands. Land reclamation will make room for development, and the water edge designed to address sea level rise and protection against extreme weather events. The adjacent mountains will be free from development except for recreational purposes. The 2050 plan incorporates already approved development and development currently underway. The aircity free trade zone to the north and south of the airport is geared to high-tech and airport-dependent businesses, such as biomedical and food processing. Premier and low-cost carriers are expected to begin service at the Vendôme Airport in 2020, improving access to Halong Bay, as well as Vendôme. Traban Island, one of the 30 developable islands of the Van Hai archipelago, will be lightly developed to preserve the mountains, mangroves, wetlands, and beaches, and fully incorporate sustainable strategies for building, water, power, and waste management. The remaining 570 islands of Vendôme will be preserved simply for their visual iconic value. Like Halong Bay, Vendôme will be known for a stunning seascape.
There we go. Oh, so dear. Sorry. Here we go. We now turn to investment opportunities using a preliminary fly-through of Kaibao Island well after 2050. With great natural beauty to be preserved, there are a number of investment opportunities in Kairon town, with a cruise ship port of call, financial business district, mixed-use residential communities, creative services districts, golf and beachside, urban resorts, and the integrated resort with casino, racetrack, and ecotourism park, to hillside living and North Shore seaside town, to the aircity free trade zone with airport-dependent businesses, and a mixed-use aircity center with seats of higher education. Opportunities in and at the airport include duty-free retailing, logistics, affordable communities, food processing center, and cargo port. There are also opportunities for infrastructure improvements in transit, roads, bridges, and greenways. All outstanding ways to invest in Vandon's future. The development of Kairon as a smart and sustainable city will give not only national, but international investors an opportunity to start up businesses that will benefit from this location, its connectivity, and its workforce, and to make a place that is intense, but livable. With phased implementation over the next 30 years, Don SAEZ will grow and change, adapt to new technologies, new ways of working and living, all while protecting the natural resources that make this part of the world visually distinct. The Van Don World Trade Center will offer a symbol of unity with the environment and gateway to the world, whether getting here by air, by land, or by sea. Van Don is a place for building a career or developing a business, a place for visiting or retiring. We're learning a new skill, getting healthy, growing a family, creating art, and celebrating local culture and heritage are all ways to be part of Van Don. Above all, Van Don aspires to be an SAEZ that manages the built environment, that offers a high quality of life, and preserves the natural environmental beauty. The future of Van Don is promising, and as detailed planning is undertaken, will become known as a model of smart and sustainable economy, society, and environment around the world. The Singapore of Vietnam. The Van Don SAEZ is being developed and administered by the Quang Economic Zone Administration. It is CASA's responsibility, along with their development partners, to implement the vision for Van Don and to promote its strategic advantages. For more information about investment opportunities, please feel free to contact us. Thank you and good day.
Thank you, Diane, and thank you to everyone for joining us. As mentioned, this presentation was recorded and will be available on our website shortly. We hope you enjoyed the presentation, and if you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.